Just want to emphasize one more time how you start your project. I am on Desmos.com. I would click on Start Graphing. From here, I am ready to go ahead and import my image. I would click on the plus sign, Image, and then browse wherever you have saved the image that you're recreating. Let's say I would like to do this little dragon. Actually, no, the butterfly. So here is my image. Once I start adding the lines, I wouldn't really be able to see anything over top of the black. So first of all, if I need to adjust the image, I would click on top of it, and as soon as you see the blue lines showing around, you can move that image up or down. You could adjust the center. Actually, you have to click on the center point, and then you can move that. You could also actually type in the center if you're not able to be very precise. My image is already perfectly symmetrical, which is why I chose it, and I'm able to set the center. Once you have your image, you want to make it a little bit transparent so that you can see your lines as you're adding them. To do that, you're going to click on the little gear wheel, click on top of the image picture, and then choose a much lighter opacity. I could even go this light. The lighter your opacity is, the easier it will be for you to focus on your lines more than the image itself. Okay. Now that I have my image set up, I actually think that my opacity should be even lighter. Once I have my image set up, I need to save this project so that I don't lose this setup. First of all, I'm not going to call it Untitled Graph. So if you click on top of Untitled Graph, it will tell you that you can either log in or create an account. Instead, I'm going to click on right here. I'll click on Sign In. And I already have a sign in with Google. If you don't have an account, you might click on Create Account, and you still have the option of linking your Gmail access directly. Now that I am logged in, I can go ahead and rename this Butterfly Graph and save. As you work through this project, as you add any of your functions, please make sure that you do regularly come back and hit save. I'll go ahead and add one graph so that you guys can see exactly how I would do that. So for the first equation, it looks like the wing, this section right here, could be a section from a parabola. I see that it curves back down, which is why parabola would be a good option here. Well, I know that the equation for a parabola is y equals x squared. However, I want it to be facing downward, so I can go ahead and add my negative sign to the outside. I would guesstimate that my vertex for this parabola, where it turns around, is right around here. So what are the coordinates here? About 3.75 for the x and about 3.8 maybe for the y. I would use my vertex form of a quadratic equation, which is x minus h quantity squared plus k. So where I had 3.75 for my x value, I'm going to subtract it, minus 3.75, and I see my graph shifted to the right, and then I'm going to add 3.8. I think that's pretty close to it. Now I do see that my parabola has to be not quite so narrow. I need it to be wider. So on the outside of the square, I am going to multiply by a decimal, a number smaller than 1. Certainly, if you're not positive what number you should multiply by, just put a number in and see what happens. If you multiply by 3, it gets narrower. So you are going to multiply by a decimal instead. 0.3, not quite wide enough. So I'm going to make that even smaller. 0.2. I think that's pretty good. I think that's what I would go with, 0.17 or even 0.18. Okay, another thing that I need to do now is just show the section between here and somewhere over here. So as I click through those points, I can see some of their values. It looks like the x values are easier to remember. I need x's between 0 and 5. I don't need the rest of them. To add that limitation, I would add curly brackets at the end of the equation, and I would say 0 is less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 5. Look at that, and that's a pretty good match. Now note, it is not perfect, but nobody's asking for perfect. I can make adjustments to this picture as I please, as long as the final project looks like a complete butterfly. The other wing is perfectly symmetrical, so I might as well show you how you can use this equation to get the other wing too. You would highlight the equation with your mouse. When you right click, there usually isn't. Yeah, when you right click, you lose that highlight option. So highlight and then Control C from your keyboard. Click on the next line. Control V is going to paste that same equation. Now I have two copies of the same equation. Well, I want it over reflected across the y-axis, or another way to think about it is the vertex, the only thing that changes is the x-coordinate. Instead of minus 3.75, it is plus 3.75. I know, you might say this is not really the same parabola, but I promise you it is. We are looking at the section going down from it. This parabola continues on up here. So what we need to do is limit the visible x values correctly. Our visible x values will be from right about -5 to 0. -5 to 0. And there it is. If I want to go back and make these colors the same, I will click on the edit settings and then click on whichever color I would like to set, and I am done for now. As soon as I add equations, please remember, hit save.